So today's the last day before my event, my 100-mile event, which is taking part tomorrow morning. So what happened? I have to be there for like 7 AM to start loading everything. I'm roughly about 20 miles away from the Olympic Park, which is where the race starts. I'm gonna have to get up at like 5 AM because the taxi's coming at 6. So this is my final night to prepare, make sure I've got a good night's rest. I've just gone out on an easy 20-mile bike ride just to keep my legs warm. I'm eating a lot of carbs. Later I'm gonna prepare myself some quinoa, I think some bulgur wheat and maybe some pasta or something with carbs and protein in. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to have whatever I can find which will give me energy. I'm not sure if there's any porridge. Porridge will be ideal, but if not, oats or Weetabix, anything along those lines. This right here, this is the jersey that I will be wearing tomorrow, so I'll be representing this charity, Young Epilepsy. Now in here we have chocolate fudge, another chocolate fudge, red berry, apple and blackcurrant. Now this is an electrolyte tablet to put in my water. This will basically help repair or maintain my glycogen in my muscles and keep me from fatiguing as quickly as, say, if I didn't have one of these and energy bars, etc. I'll jump in my bath and then get to sleep. Good night, folks. Guys, what is up? It's another video of me speaking in front of a camera. This is just because I want to explain what happened regarding my race yesterday, the event, the 100-mile event that I took part in, which I got this medal for, which personally, I don't even know whether I deserve it or not. I'm going to explain the whole situation right now. So I was off to a great start. The weather for the day was atrocious. It was raining, cloudy, windy. The headwinds were awful. When you were riding, you could feel the wind, you know, take the front wheel and almost throw you off balance. Anyway, during the start of the race, there were so many riders. There was about 30,000 riders taking part in this event. So it was a big race, no joke. During each wave, they separated the waves into like about a few hundred riders that could start per wave, because obviously 30,000 riders going all at once would not work. So it was a long wait at the beginning, in the rain, in the cold. It wasn't pleasant. However, I eventually approached the start line. As I was loading my belongings into this kit bag that went into a truck to meet me at the finish, there was loads of other riders who were just chilling out waiting, and I had my eye on this particular rider who had this kind of custom aero bike, all carbon fibre, really nice looking ass bike, beautiful. He looked like he meant business. He was sitting there with his headphones on, getting himself psyched up, and the way he was even presenting himself, when he got up and started walking around, he was like, yo, don't mess with me, you know. So I was looking at this guy and I was looking at his bike like I've never seen this type of bike before, and I was excited for him. Just so happens to be that I would be starting my race in the same wave as this guy who had this custom aero bike. So the race got underway. Yo, these are some weird ass burps. Excuse me. Anyway, so the race got underway. I was off to a great start, guys. A great start. As you could tell from the footage the night before, I prepped myself so much. Everything went so smooth. I had a great night's sleep, which was the main important thing. I had good nutrition in me. I was feeling pumped. Off to a great start. I could feel my leg muscles just going through it. They weren't sore or anything because I didn't overtrain the day before. They were fresh. They were ripe. They were crisp. They were ready to roll. From the get-go, I was just overtaking riders, approaching waves in front of me, and then I think about 5 miles in, coincidentally, I noticed the guy with this custom aero bike whiz past me in his full Castelli kind of cycling uniform, and he went past me, and I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to use him as motivation to keep going. He was the first one to overtake me, and I found it kind of ironic as I was eyeing him up at the beginning of the event, thinking how he meant business. So I was like, right, I'm going to use him as motivation, I'm going to keep up with him, and I'm going to try and overtake him. So that's exactly what I did. I followed him and we were just blitzing past all these other riders. I managed to overtake him again, and then I cycled another 2 miles, and then he would come, and then for a few miles I was in the lead and he cycled like to the side of me, and we kind of looked at each other and gave each other mutual respect, and then he went off again, and we were just blitzing everyone, and I was being aware of, you know, having so many more miles to go because it was meant to be a 100-mile ride. Pardon me. So I didn't want to overexert myself, stress myself out, overwork myself, make myself exhausted with all these miles to come. So I took that into consideration. At some points I would slow down, and at some points I would speed up again. I just tried to find that balance. Anyway, for the first 20 miles, I was doing fantastically, absolutely fantastically. Then this happened. So I was approaching a corner, and at the beginning of the race, the commentator announced the rules and the safety and how you should overtake on the right hand side, which makes sense. So all the slower riders were to the left. Now I was coming around this corner, and if you imagine there's a bollard in the middle of the road that, you know, splits the lane sometimes, and it has that kind of arrow on it, and it's like highlighted in yellow, and it means, I don't know what it even means, but you know what I'm on about. It's just there and it splits the road. So lots of cyclists were going to the left of this. I saw space on the right, and that would have been my only space to overtake. So it was a corner going round to the left, so I needed to carve it ideally on the inside to make the perfect turn, cut the apex, cut time even more. But obviously, as I'm saying, the only point that I could have overtaken, the only space, the only available space is the outside part, and unfortunately this outside part on the right had a big puddle. So I looked at the puddle and I was aware of it, and I thought, okay, I just need to just slow down a little bit, but just be wary, keep my bike as straight as possible. But I carved too much. I ended up over carving, I think, this corner. So I took the outside, I was carving, I hit this puddle, and I just took it at too much of a high speed. I didn't calculate it at all well. Essentially, the water made me lose traction. I came sliding off, and it just happened in an instant. But you know, you see those motorcycle accidents on YouTube, or the compilations, and the riders go sliding for ages. I literally went sliding on the gravel for time. I went sliding and sliding and sliding, and then I got up, and luckily there was a safety rider, a safety captain, because safety captains ride with different waves. So there was one right behind me. He blew his whistle, he stopped the riders. I picked up my bike. I noticed that one of the plugs had came flying out from the handlebars, and I picked it up anyway. I went to the side of the road. I was kind of in shock. I looked at my arm, and it wasn't bleeding straight away, but I knew I'd done damage. I could feel it. I knew I had done damage. I don't just come off my bike at like 25 miles per hour, near 30 miles per hour, with no protective gear on other than a bicycle helmet and not injure myself. So I was just waiting for me to feel something more or look and see me bleed. So I came to the side of the road, and you could tell that safety captain was pissed off. He just wanted to carry on riding and completely vent himself. So he got out his phone, he contacted some staff. A marshal then came over to me and took over from there, basically. And then I looked at my arm again, and it started bleeding. And this was the most disgusting part. I could see white, and I could see what looked like really deep flesh, almost bone being exposed. Disgusting. Under here is not pleasant. Like, blood seeped through a plaster and a thick layer of bandage. Like, it just keeps bleeding. So I noticed my arm, and I was like, damn. And then I noticed my leg. Now this is what's happened to my leg, guys. So here you can see a hole. Now under this hole, there's a plaster. Under that plaster is a big graze, a big bump, and as well a very deep cut. It's not pleasant. I need to actually change these. I don't know why I keep burping. Anyway, I need to actually change these wounds and assess them again. But I noticed my leg had been damaged. I don't want to make this story time drag on for too long, but this is essentially what happened after I crashed. So I was 20 miles in. I waited about 40 minutes for medics to come. The medics patched me up, they cleaned me up. They asked me if I wanted to get on my bike. But my bike, the handlebar had been bent. Similar to what happened, well, the exact same thing to what happened as what I explained in my story time of me having that bike accident. How I crashed off my bike, how an itch sent me crashing off my bike. The exact same thing happened. The handlebar got bent. So I was like, damn, I couldn't really shift properly. I managed to kind of get it working more efficiently in the end. But, you know, if I wanted to carry on riding, I would have to find a bike tech. So I made the ultimate decision to get back on my bike. My phone, bearing in mind as well, was dying at this point. I contacted my girlfriend. I tried to contact my mom. It also broke. I couldn't hear anything out of the phone. Nothing, no sound was coming out, and I'm not sure if people could hear me. That made things even worse. You know, originally I was going to try and find a taxi or get someone to pick me up, but that didn't happen. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get back on my bike, power through this. Bearing in mind, guys, at this point I'm in so much pain, and I'm trying not to exaggerate. Like, you guys know how some things have more pain than it should compared to other wounds that look like they should have more pain. Like, you know, like sometimes, like, let's take a paper cut for instance. Those are nasty little buggers. This graze is a horrible horrible, they sting so much. This graze is elevated on a much larger scale. It's cut me so deep, and you can almost see my damn bone, and it's affected my nerves. I can barely feel my arm properly. It's horrible. I was like, I want to power through this, I want to go, because I noticed by this point as well, the last cyclists who were starting to come. Behind these last cyclists is the last safety car, which has an end race on it, so if you're behind that, you're obviously not really taking part. So anyway, I got back on my bike and I cycled to the next food station. Well, I cycled to the next food station. At the food station, there was also more medics. Whilst I was cycling there, bandages were coming off in the wind, bleeding more. It was causing them to not stick. So I got them to bandage up again, and they were like, you know, you sure you want to carry on and all this? And I was like, well, yeah, I just want to go for it. Queue for the bike tech took the piss because everyone was getting punctures in the rain. As I was queuing up, there was one more person before me at this point when I saw the safety car come past, and I was like, shit, that's the end race safety car. I'm not going to make it. And in front of that are the last waves who are doing a shorter distance than me. So I managed to get my bike fixed. He got this tool, he realigned my handlebars, made sure everything was good, it was fine. Got back on my way and I put my all into it, guys. I cycled, I sprinted, I put my hands on the drops, got into the most aerodynamic position that I could, put myself in a heavy ass gear and just pedaled and pedaled and pedaled, got that momentum and just sprinted. Because I'm like persistent with things, I want to win, I'm a competitive guy. Managed to do like another 20 miles essentially. I was overtaking so many cyclists, and what happened is, without me even realising, after about 20 miles, I must have got caught up in the diversion of the slower riders who were doing less of a distance, because the total route was meant to be 100 miles. I somehow got caught up in that diversion. I saw a sign saying 91. I was like, 91? What's going on here? And anyway, I was sprinting past these riders, and I was looking at other riders, thinking like, they look in fit enough condition to do 100 miles. I'm like, why, like, am I being caught up with so many riders here at a 91 mark? And then I saw like another sign saying 10 kilometers to go. I was like, oh god, I've been caught in a diversion here. I've been caught with the slow riders who were doing a different distance to me. Anyway, the finish eventually came. It was the Mall, the big straight going down to Buckingham Palace. I saw my charity, I waved at them, they acknowledged my bandage, but they cheered me on. I sprinted to that finish as fast as I could, just to push myself even more. And I got the medal. I got this medal. This medal states that I've completed a 100-mile ride, and it has the route on the back. But to me, I didn't do the 100 miles, and I feel disappointed. I feel ashamed. I know that I got back on my bike, but the thing is, I knew I could have still done the 100 miles. By the time I finished the race itself, I ended up doing about 40-something miles, and I only did that in 2 hours. That probably means I would have finished 100 miles in about 5-something hours. I knew I could have smashed it. I knew I could have smashed it. But that's what happened, guys. You live and you learn. I'm devastated, I'm heartbroken that I couldn't do the full route, because I put so much work into this, so much time went into training, so much time went into my diet, my mental preparation, everything. So much sacrifice has gone into this. But regardless, I suppose I should see the positives in it. I can come back stronger next year. I can take the weather into consideration, and I can just better myself where I've gone wrong, and just better myself in general. Hopefully I'll be even a stronger rider by that point. This winter, I think I'm going to be taking part in a 54-mile ride from London to Brighton, so that'll be good. And I'm going to look around for sportives and events that I can take part in. I want to get completing a full event without any hiccups, and I'll be back next year to complete 400 miles in a very good time. Mark my words, guys. If any of you guys are cyclists as well and are based around the Midlands, or you know what, whatever, are based in England, the UK, whatever, and you travel or are willing to travel, like, let me know, and I'd be happy to go out with people, because I've just been training solo so far. 99% of the time I spend my time on my bike solo on my own, and I know that can get a bit boring, and I'd be happy to ride with new people, so hit me up in the comments below. But anyway, just thought I'd give you an insight into what happened. Thanks to everyone who supported me, and thanks to everyone who's encouraged me building up to this event. Sorry if I've let anyone down. I'll be back stronger next year. I will. Love you all, guys. See you for the next video. Peace.